So heartburn and acid reflux and GERD are all caused by too much stomach acid. And the way to solve the problem is to find a way to block your body from producing stomach acid. I've heard this 1,000 times, but for some reason, everyone always forgets to say the last part of this explanation. It's totally wrong, 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 wrong. I am Dr. James Munro, and today I'd like to talk to you about heartburn and acid reflux. These are really common conditions, and usually they're completely misunderstood. I want to walk through what's actually going on so we can set the record straight and you can have a solid understanding of what's actually happening and causing the acid reflux in your body. The popular belief is that acid reflux and heartburn are caused by too much stomach acid, and that stomach acid somehow overflows and causes those symptoms. This implies that stomach acid is a bad thing, and if we can somehow block or neutralize the stomach acid, we'll solve all of our problems. But the problem is, none of that's true. To start with, too much stomach acid production, or hyperchlorhydria, is a pretty rare problem. There are a couple things that can cause this. An H. pylori infection in your stomach is a really common cause. Another one is Zollinger-Ellison syndrome, which is a pretty rare condition. In the absence of one of these conditions that increase your stomach acid production, blocking stomach acid or neutralizing stomach acid is not solving the problem at all. But if you suffer from heartburn or reflux and you are taking these stomach acid blocking or neutralizing drugs, your symptoms get better and you feel better. I like to use this analogy to think about it. Imagine you live in a 2-story building and every time you flush the toilet upstairs, water leaks down into the living room. The problem is obviously a leak upstairs in the pipe somewhere, and the solution is to fix the leak. Taking a medication that blocks your stomach acid or neutralizes your stomach acid is the equivalent of shutting off the water to the whole house. It's obviously going to solve the leak problem, but it is going to lead to other problems in the house. In our bodies, we don't want to shut off the stomach acid supply, we want to fix the leak. The leak usually has something to do with the lower esophageal sphincter, and that is a butthole-like muscle that sits between your esophagus and your stomach. In a normal situation, it's tightly closed, and then you eat, and it opens, and then it closes again. But there are a lot of things that can cause issues here, which can lead to acid reflux and heartburn and some other stuff. Things that can lead to relaxation of the lower esophageal sphincter include overeating, hiatal hernias, spicy foods or fried foods, systemic inflammation, peppermint, which is kind of a bummer because peppermint's awesome. And another pretty common one that usually blows people away when I tell them is a low amount of stomach acid. Stomach acid has a ton of jobs, and one of those jobs includes prompting the reflexive opening and closing of that sphincter we were talking about. The way we have that butthole-like muscle at the top of the stomach, at the bottom of the esophagus, we also have that on the other side of the stomach. And these two muscles work together, opening and closing and allowing food in, they digest, and then they move to the next phase of digestion. Part of the way that they know when to open and close is the amount of acid in the stomach. A lot of stomach acid will cause a reflexive closure of these muscles, and that allows the stomach to break down the foods that are in there before it moves on to the next phase of digestion. But not enough stomach acid, these muscles will relax. So this would mean that a really common cause of acid reflux is actually not enough stomach acid. Not too much stomach acid, but not enough stomach acid. Not only can low stomach acid cause acid reflux and GERD symptoms, but that same situation happens on the other side of the stomach. We don't really feel that as much, but undigested food can slip to the next phase of digestion before it's ready to be there. So now we've thrown off the entire system that our body uses to digest and break down foods and absorb nutrients. This can cause malabsorption, which can lead to nutritional deficiencies. It can also cause constipation or diarrhea, or alternating constipation and diarrhea. Another awesome thing that stomach acid does is it kills bacteria and viruses and breaks down toxins and other things in the stomach before it can get to the rest of our GI tract or absorbed into our body. So this means that not enough stomach acid can cause acid reflux or heartburn. It can cause malabsorption or nutritional deficiencies. It increases your likelihood to get foodborne illnesses or infections from things that you eat, and can cause a major imbalance in the friendly bacteria that normally live in our GI tract. Another sort of unrelated thing that happens when we don't have enough stomach acid is to compensate for the low stomach acid, our body will increase production of histamine. And histamine is the thing that causes allergies. So if we have low stomach acid, our body might start producing more histamine in response, which could lead to more allergic reactions. And this could be food allergies or environmental seasonal allergies. So what I'm trying to say is not having enough stomach acid totally sucks. If you are suffering from heartburn or acid reflux, it is far more likely that you don't have enough stomach acid. It is way less likely that you have too much stomach acid, which makes treating it with those acid-blocking drugs totally the wrong way to go in almost all cases. Not only are we not even close to solving the problem, but we're also causing all of the problems that I just talked about. Some common things you may experience if you don't have enough acid in your stomach include heartburn, burping, belching, gas, bloating, nausea, upset stomach. Sometimes it feels like there's a brick in your stomach when you eat, or you get full more quickly than you think you should, or you suddenly get hungry and have a desire to eat when you shouldn't be hungry. Fatigue, indigestion, and also any signs that go along with nutritional deficiencies. So we've established that we totally need stomach acid, and blocking it is probably the wrong choice in almost all cases. But what if you're already taking one of those acid-blocking drugs? Your instincts might be to stop taking them and never take them again, but don't do that. If you've been taking these drugs for a while and you suddenly stop, you can cause what's called a reflex hyperchlorhydria. This happens because as you take those acid-blocking drugs, your body desperately tries to compensate for the low stomach acid. If you suddenly take the shackles off of these systems, the body will respond by producing a flood of stomach acid, and that can make everything worse. I highly recommend working closely with a doctor or a healthcare professional if you're trying to get off of these medications. But step one is going to be figuring out what is causing your reflux in the first place. Is it overeating, or are you eating spicy foods or fried foods? Do you have a hiatal hernia? These are the kinds of things you have to identify and then address to take the next step. Once you have that stuff figured out, then you can start to taper off of the medication. But even then, you don't want to just stop. As you're tapering off of these medications, it might actually be necessary to supplement to help your body to produce stomach acid normally again. And again, I highly recommend working with a healthcare professional on this. But some commonly helpful supplements are apple cider vinegar, either just the liquid or apple cider vinegar pills, or HCl or betaine supplements. If you're not currently taking these acid-blocking drugs, you're going to have a much easier time moving forward. But the steps are the same. You're going to have to figure out what's causing it in the first place. And once you're working on that initial cause, you might want to add some of those supplements I just mentioned. My main reason for making this video is to make sure that you understand that if you're blocking your stomach acid and you're feeling better, you're not actually solving the problem, and you could be causing way bigger issues down the road. And like I mentioned earlier, there are some situations which would make these medications necessary, but they're fairly uncommon. If you suspect that you might have one of these conditions, make sure you talk to your doctor before you go to the store and buy these acid-blocking drugs, because there's a really high probability that you're doing more harm than good. Alright, so that's it for today. Thank you so much for taking the time to stick with me on this one, and I really hope you found this video helpful. If you have any questions about this or anything else, leave it in the comments. And I hate that I'm saying this, but if you found this video valuable, please click the thumbs up, share the video, subscribe to the channel. This will all be really helpful for me. I hope you're great, but I hope tomorrow is even better.